This is it. We're rolling. This is episode 407.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you. No Laugh Track Podcast here at Acme Comedy Company in Minneapolis. I'm Justin Severson, and I am here with someone I haven't talked to since it's Andy Haynes. And we
Hi.
haven't talked, Andy, besides the last 10 minutes. June 5th, 2013.
Wow.
Is the last time you did this podcast. So that points out two things. Holy shit, I've been doing this since before 2013. And it's been a long time since you've been here.
Yeah, I think that's like shocking how long it's been.
Yeah.
I need to go back and make sure that I'm not telling any of the same jokes.
I almost without fail go back when people come back a second, third, fourth, fifth time. I listened to the most recent episode that we recorded together.
Uh-huh.
I didn't bother doing that this time.
Yeah, thank you.
It's
I
been
appreciate it.
way too long. I cringe even just thinking of listening to myself from 2013. I have no interest in doing that whatsoever.
Yeah, I was completely I can't even imagine what I talked about.
It was like I said, this is episode 407. That was episode 53. And all I have, and I'm going to read you the description of that episode.
Okay.
We talked about your young days as a pro skier,
Okay.
getting married,
Okay.
timeless,
Uh-huh.
taping your Comedy Central special, and you were writing for two shows at the time,
Yeah.
Ridiculousness and TBS's Ground Floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I write for neither of those anymore. I don't think those. Well, ridiculous will never go away. Ridiculousness is like a strain of a virus. It only grows. They will never take that show off the air. If you look at it like a visual schedule of MTV, it is metastasizing the ridiculousness virus.
Oh my
is-
God.
It
Yes.
is most of their programming. And the producers are like, we're going to make more. We're going to make spin-offs.
Yeah.
Uh,
They barely have time to air Teen Mom anymore
I
because
know.
Ridiculousness is on so much.
Floribama Shore is suffering right now because of ridiculousness.
Not getting the attention it deserves.
That show was weird as a writer too, because you would spend all day writing, and then you would go to set to like, supervise the script basically. And Deerdeck would not use any of your jokes. He thought all of your jokes were dumb.
No.
It could be the funniest joke in the world. I mean, he's a billionaire skateboarder. There's no relation to my logic. You know what I mean? I'd be like, it's it's like a common like thing that kids are saying on the internet. So just like it's an acronym, and he'd be like, I'm not saying that, and you'd be like, cool, boss man. Yeah, no, I wasn't even sober back then. I was like still like a huge pothead. I probably was high when we recorded the podcast. I was always stoned back in 2013.
You know what? I just learned that about you recently, in the last 24 hours, because I listened to you talking to Joe List
Oh yeah,
on Mindful Mental, whatever the heck.
Mindful Mental Jacket,
yeah.
something like that.
I should know the name of it because I listen to it occasionally. But anyway, I heard you say that on his podcast, that at that time you were doing everything high.
Everything.
Including what I just brought up, your Comedy Central special.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get high before that, but I had
You
no
walked through a...
I had no coping mechanisms back then, and I was so stressed out. And it was like the days of like when you could only travel with like edibles, and so
Yeah.
I had like all these like weed goldfish, like the goldfish crackers,
Of course.
and you couldn't like gauge the power of them. So I like 2 hours before showtime, I was like, I'm gonna eat one of these. It's gonna calm me down. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just one goldfish, and nothing happened. Obviously, classic story with edibles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like,
These are bunk.
yeah, I'll eat a couple more just to make sure.
Right.
And then like right as I was walking on stage, I'm like sitting in the wings of the stage, and I hear, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just like, Andy Haynes. It's just like, fuck.
No.
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that was those days. Yeah, I've gotten divorced and remarried.
Yeah.
Gotten
Ditto.
sober. Oh, congratulations. Yeah. And I also live in New York now. I left Los Angeles for the big city.
Sure. So you were probably living in L.A. back in 2013?
Yeah, I lived in New
sure.
York 2008 to 2012, and then I moved to LA for 6 years.
Okay.
And I had done the TV writing thing, but I was one of the few people who was not able to combine a career of being a full-time pothead and a TV writer. A lot of people are successful with it, but I was a mess, and so I got worse and worse writing jobs. It was like I got like the big sitcom job with the parking spot, and then it was like then I had to go back to ridiculousness with my hat in my hands, and then they were like, we got a spinoff for Nickelodeon, and I like went and did that. I was just like a mess, and eventually I was like writing like Instagram content for like a financial company for millennials.
Really?
And getting like the 12-15 spot at the Comedy Store, and I was like, I gotta make some changes.
Yeah.
So I went back to New York to just focus on stand-up, and best decision I ever made.
Did you see the news today? Their recreational marijuana's coming to New York.
Good for them. That's great.
Is that great?
I mean, everybody smokes. It is not a hard. Well, the city of New York, it's decriminalized.
Right.
Like a cop can't. A cop will be like, "Fucking go home," like, or they probably. They'd say that to me, to a black teen. They'd be like, "Why do you have cocaine?" And then they would reveal cocaine that they had on them. But it's not like, I mean, it's New York. It's not. There's rednecks and conservatives in parts of the state. People, I shouldn't say rednecks. Rednecks love weed too. But there's in the city of New York, people. I've seen a full train with a guy rolling a blunt on his lap. Like, it's
Right.
Nobody gives a shit about weed. It is not a problem. I would like them to criminalize the teens that sit on the stoop of my apartment and roll blunts and then
right?
smoke in the vestibule. I would like them to go to prison. But everybody else, you're welcome to smoke pot.
These kids need to learn a lesson the hard way. Huh?
They're assholes. They threatened my wife. I was like, but not like in a serious way. They just called her like a bitch or something. But my wife is, I couldn't threaten my wife, so I don't think I'm going to be able to protect her either. So
It's fantastic. You did something. You got married during the pandemic.
I did. I had a pandemic wedding. I matched my mask with my cummerbund.
Come on.
Not cummerbund, bow tie.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not many people did, scheduled get-togethers with people like that during a pandemic.
We kind of had like a loose pod like of comics that we knew were taking it seriously and also getting tested regularly, and also we'd kind of spoken with our family about like the plan, and so it was like we definitely like we invited, I don't know, 100 people. It was an outdoor wedding. It was in a city park. It was kind of guerrilla style. Like, we didn't have permits or anything.
So there was a chance you would have been escorted off the property?
Yeah, but it was like 3 months after BLM. The cops in New York had like taken an advisory role in the city. I literally went up to the cop right before the wedding started, and I said, "Hey, we're gonna have a wedding right here."
And
the
smoke pot.
Yeah, and we're gonna well, there was probably like a NYU student freebasing salvia next to me. But he was just like, "Yeah, I don't care." Like, literally, "I don't care." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, we're going to do that." And it was amazing. We like had some friends playing live instruments, like playing like Stevie Wonder song and it was like a classic New York cab pulled up, and then she got out, and everybody in the park was like also like, for such a cynical city, they all were like, "A wedding," like,
Oh, sure.
people were taking pictures. A homeless guy gave my wife some art, which we sanitized very quickly after it was handed to us.
It better be up on a wall.
It is.
Refrigerator?
It is in like an office space kind of area.
Okay.
But we we were like semi-safe, but there's always that degree of risk. And since then, a lot of the people that were at the wedding have had COVID and been fine, or now they're all vaccinated.
Sure.
But me and I haven't said yet, my wife is Rosebud Baker, a very funny comic. If you know me, then you definitely know her.
Yeah.
You probably also maybe don't know me and you know her because she's very popular. But she and I were like, well, we got engaged. Like, our relationship moved very fast. We were like dating. The pandemic hit. We got engaged. And then it was like, I guess 6 months after we got engaged. We were just kind of like, let's do it now to kind of like make it like our whole engagement and wedding part of this like pandemic thing, because we'll never have this like moment where the city's all ours.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Also, not many people get their engagement written up in the Washington Post. When I'm doing my little research for the podcast here, you got written about in the Washington Post.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Fuck the New York Times styles page. Well, because I think we started the podcast that we do together, Find Your Beach. We started it like the day that the quarantine started.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of getting buzz off of that, because it was like we were doing it every day, because, you know, at that point we were like, well, this won't go on that long. And then, like, you know, I think 60 days in, we were like, this is going to be a bi-weekly podcast, because we were just, you know, by the end of it, I think we're just like reading out like, you know, Proust's theory or whatever, like just calculations where like our brains weren't working anymore.
That's like the Sklar brothers started a podcast at the beginning of quarantine, and it was
really?
an hour long at the beginning. I checked back a few months ago. No, it's like 25 minutes now.
Yeah, it was just like too much. Yeah. And we really, I think it worked at that time because everybody was locked inside.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was going through the same thing. But it gained buzz, and this writer from the Washington Post like wrote us and was like, hey, we would like to feature the podcast. And we were like, oh, cool. Well, we also just got engaged. And so we got this nice little, it was in the magazine, which was cool because we didn't just get the like paper print. We got the like magazine print version of it.
Like the it's like an insert.
Yeah, we got the insert, and we have a bunch of those, bunch of copies of those magazine gathering dust in the storage container. And then also we have a framed one. It was cool. Yeah.
I love the first paragraph. On the first day of being locked down together, comedians Rosebud Baker and Andy Haynes started a daily podcast. On the third day, they got engaged, and on the 12th, Haynes started feeling a little bit under the weather, and then it just goes from there. Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
I didn't ever get confirmed that I had COVID, but you know, when you get sick at the same time as the rest of the world, you're kind of like, this is probably COVID.
Yeah.
I had a fever for 18 days, you know.
I just found out this morning, the Minnesota Wild, the hockey team, they had Zach Parise was out last night with COVID. I just found out they only have 5 players on that team that haven't had COVID.
Yeah.
5 out of the whole team.
It's pretty contagious. I don't know if you've heard. I don't know if you've heard this COVID thing is going around. No, I think that's probably. I think about it now because like we were all so careful at the beginning. I mean, I was like washing my grocery bag. I was going outdoors with gloves on.
Ditto.
I was wearing like a mask and a face mask to grocery shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you're like, all right, if I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to fucking get this thing. And I also, I for the, you know, because you can't do the road, I started working at the moving company that I used to work at.
Yeah.
For the most of the pandemic. And so I'm going in and out of people's houses. And I'm going in trucks with other guys so I can't like vouch their safety levels. I never got sick again. And I'm vaccinated now, but I want to say that we probably have the same odds as the group of people at our wedding for who got either vaccinated or has gotten COVID. It's probably 5 people who haven't gotten one or the other.
Yeah, probably.
Like I know 2 people from our wedding that got COVID like last week.
Oh.
You know? But they were like, the whole careful thing was over, right? Everybody stopped and they're like,
yeah.
One of them went to Puerto Rico and was just like, you know, I think like, you know, topless in a bar, and the other one was her dad, and he you know, he's a Republican, but he's like a logical one, like he did take it semi seriously, but the second things like started normalizing, you know, he was like having drinks he was having mint juleps in Georgia on the golf course.
Oh, I did a little. I too do another labor job.
Oh, cool.
I'm a house painter, like interior, exterior, stuff like that. Same deal. I go into people's houses all the time, get in a car with somebody else.
That was one of my favorite comedy jobs.
Really?
Yeah, I used to get stoned and I would paint a house. It was, I mean, that was going to a New York apartment and just like put on like music and oh, great job.
Yeah.
Great job for your 20s. Yeah. Also, if you run it yourself, you can make a killing.
It can be lucrative, absolutely.
Definitely, like the TaskRabbit thing, I think really like marginalizes your income because they make it competitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that how you do Is that how you're doing moving jobs?
No, I work for a company,
okay.
and I've worked for this. It was like the company that I worked for the day I moved to New York. Like the day I moved to New York in 2012, I worked for a moving company.
Yeah.
And then I kept in touch with them. You know, I worked until 2012, and then I didn't work there for 6 years. And then when I decided to move back to New York, I moved back to New York because I was either going to move to New York or I was going to move to Seattle. And I was like visiting New York to just kind of see friends. And Mike Racine, amazing comic, had a room in his house that he was not using, which is like a rarity in New York. I was like, how much to borrow or to rent that room? And he gave me like a fair price on it. And then I called the moving company and I was like, hey, can I pick up some shifts? And I just started working for the moving company.
Any of the same people still there? Like, son of a bitch, Andy, you're back.
Yep, there definitely is. There was a couple guys that were like,
we knew it.
Yeah, they were like, you thought you could get away.
Yeah, we saw you on Conan.
Yeah, you thought you were all high and mighty in your Conan days. But honestly, the one of the best things to ever happen to me. I feel like there's this weird thing where comics, especially, like nobody ever wants to talk about having to make money doing anything else.
Yeah.
And there's also like show business. So there's like comics that like work the road and they just do the road every weekend. And then there's also a lot of comics who, you know, they do comedy almost every night in the city they live in, but they like write for a show or they act on a show.
Yep.
And other than that, nobody wants to talk about anything. They're like, oh, no. I'm successful. I would never work another job. And I'm trying to normalize that because comedy's hard. And I think all these people feel ashamed about like not being able to like, New York City's a fucking nightmare to afford.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can get like a room the size of your body for $1,500 a month
that you have to share with someone.
Yeah. And if you aren't up to like going to a different city every weekend, you have to like make a living somehow. And I started actually hanging out with like visual artists, like people that like are artists, and all of them had jobs.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh man, I'm bummed I have to like work another job. And they'd be like, yeah, what did you think? You want to live in New York and not have a job?
Yeah.
So anyways,
my sister is an amazing visual artist.
Yeah.
She does like these those 3D chalk drawings.
Oh, cool.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. If people follow me on social media, whenever she does something new, I always share it and try to get people to follow her. She's amazing. She doesn't make a living off that.
No. I mean, how could you?
Yeah.
You'd have to get like commissioned by the sidewalk people.
Right. So there needs to be a city where everything's covered.
Yeah, well, Philadelphia is like a covered city. Like they turned a real pretty ugly city other than all the colonial stuff. It's like a, there's not like a lot of industry in Philadelphia. So they've covered like every open wall with like giant murals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Philadelphia is great. I think
hasn't changed their reputation.
No, you'll still get your ass kicked for, ordering the wrong kind of bagel. But I think Minneapolis is like a pretty city. I mean, the downtown, I haven't spent a significant amount of time, but you guys do a pretty good job with art.
Oh yeah.
Like the Walker.
Mm-hmm.
That's my ex-wife, who we're friends, and she's a very funny comic. I'm sure she's worked here, Alice Wetterland. I don't know if she's worked here. She bothers people sometimes.
She has not been on this podcast, I can tell you that.
Okay, well, she needs to be nicer to the people at Acme. I think she actually got banned here one time.
There's some stories floating around.
You don't have to cut that. I like stirring the tea.
Some stories floating around. By the way, I want to throw this in. One of the things you were doing when you were here last time, you were staying at your in-laws' house.
I was.
And you told me about feeding their chickens.
Yes. I remember this.
Are they remembering that correctly?
I had to like take care of. That's like a hard, like when you stay at somebody's house and they want you to like take care of their animal. It's easy when it's a cat or a dog. Cat, obviously, the easiest. Yeah. Then sometimes they'll throw in the caveat of like they have to take this medicine, and that's like a whole nother thing.
You have to mix it in the wet food,
or you have to like choke. You have to get like a submission hold on like an Akita and like pry their throat open. Yeah. But this was chickens, and there was like they kept on being like, you do this, and this. This is the times. If it gets too cold, they'll die immediately. And then there was also like, make sure there. I think is it foxes? Like, are there foxes? It was,
there are foxes around.
Yeah, they were like, and if you see a fox, make sure to like scare it away. I was like, I'm on fox duty now. Like, what?
Yeah. Make the noise of an animal that hunts foxes.
Yeah,
whatever that is.
I just wanted to save some money on a hotel room, and now I'm on fox duty. Yeah. Did you know in London, foxes are like their raccoons?
No.
Yeah, like the city of London, they have foxes, like wild foxes, and they like go through your trash and stuff. But apparently also they go into heat and they scream when they're in heat. So you can be in the city of London, and I don't want to like break the mics, but it's a horrible noise. It sounds like a woman shrieking.
No.
So you can just be in the city of London walking in the summer, and you just hear like, just like, and you're like, oh, is everybody okay?
Should I go check on that?
Yeah, and somebody's like, no, mate, it's just a fox. She's Randy. And you're like, oh, God.
I don't know if you could help with that, mate.
Be like, I'm on fox duty. I know what to do. I'm a deputized fox watcher.
Grab my gloves.
I'm going to pry its throat open.
I love that. So I watched your set. I told you, I think, before we started recording, I watched your set last night via Zoom.
Oh, thank you.
Zoom option we have here at Acme. And I heard you promoting that on your podcast, so you're all down for that. People see as many that... There's some comedians that have been coming and are not crazy about being on Zoom.
I think there's this, like, idea that your jokes... And I don't disagree with it, but I think there's this idea that, like, somebody's going to get a hold of your joke, and they're going to share your joke and ruin it for your special or something like that. But it seems to be, to me, that I like the documentation of like a joke in process. I like to see where a joke goes, and I don't usually like, I record the audio of it, but I don't have the video of it, and
Sure.
I don't really care, like when it gets to the special, it's going to be a different joke than when it was on stage, when I was like working it out or whatever, the late night set or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's still a pandemic. So, if you can watch it from your living room, why the hell not? Yeah. I've always wished that there was like an option at clubs that do like showcase, because I would love like as a comic to just be like, oh, I heard that like Louis is going to drop by, or Burr, or Amy Schumer, or whoever is going to drop by the Cellar. Like, I'm at home or I'm on the road, I want to see their set tonight.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, so I like that option.
I totally agree.
I also don't, I'm not that precious about my jokes, because I think everything is so ephemeral now with social media.
Sure.
So if it gets out there beforehand, it's like, it's only to a benefit.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned last night on stage is you're traveling with a dog of yours.
I have a puppy.
You have a puppy with you in
I
Minneapolis.
just walked her, Mouse. She was barking at the cleaning lady at the hotel. Luckily, the hotel is like very pro pet.
Okay.
So I lucked out.
This is a new thing, traveling with a dog? Have you done that before?
Well, I've traveled with her because, the pandemic, couldn't really like leave her and have somebody like coming back and forth to the apartment. I've never done the road with her.
Yeah. Okay.
Out not with my wife. Like when we go on the road, it's easy with the two of us, because one of us watches the dog in the green room while the other one is on stage. But this is new. She's like a pain in the butt, and she wants like so much. She wants to be with me all the time. When I leave her in the room, she starts barking, and it's not a nice bark. She's got like a little small dog bark.
Oh no.
But she's getting better at it, and I'm gonna go find her like some drugs, like some CBD chews or something like that, to maybe for tonight she'll be a little less yippy. We have like powerful drugs, we have like real like dog Xanax type of stuff.
Yeah, I was like, where's he? What are you looking for?
But it's
grab a bottle from the bar here. Just gonna pour it in the
just give her
bowl.
a Guinness. But she's like it's I feel bad giving her real drugs, because if you give her like even the smallest amount, she's just like a junkie wandering around the hotel room. She's like nodding off in a chair, and then she like, is peeing standing up, and it's just, it's not good. It's not good. She loses her decorum. She's horrible at fox duty when she's on her drugs.
You bet.
She lets all the chickens get attacked.
Though that would have been a great sidekick for your Fox duty wrestler.
I know, definitely. She is. I do love trap because like the road is lonely, and like you always say, you go on the road and you sit in these hotel rooms, and you're like, well, I'm gonna work on my masterpiece while I'm in, during the day,
Right.
And you never do that, and then you just end up like, eating bugles by yourself in bed at night, and so it's kind of nice. It does give you structure. And there's also like this warm little thing that like loves you in bed, like she sleeps like at the foot of the bed under the covers. It's great. I feel like a little less lonely with my
Sure. It's not like
tiny
you're out
hound.
partying after shows anymore.
No, I wish.
Yeah.
I never ever could party. I mean, I tried my damnedest, and when I was a single man, I definitely like would turn on the Tinder as soon as I got to the city and try to like set up a date but no, it's like I go back to my hotel room and I watch like, the McCarthy Hour or whatever, like, BBC News. Last night I actually was learning a lot about Bhutan.
Who?
Bhutan, the Buddhist kingdom.
Oh,
in the
Myanmar
Himalayas
or something.
Next, it's close to there. Yeah.
Okay. I'm reading headlines.
Yeah. It's never in the headlines because it's like the size of Minneapolis, and only like 60 people are allowed there a year.
Oh my.
Because they don't want to ruin their culture.
I want to bring up something else I heard on your podcast. Well, on your Instagram as well.
Yeah.
That you got to a certain number of Patreon people and you shaved your head.
Yeah.
You're hiding it right now a little with your hat, but
it's well,
it's been a few weeks. I can see it's growing back.
I'd wanted to shave my head because I was like, I've been doing this like kind of architectural scam of like hiding my hairline, and I was like, I also I would love to, when I make enough money, I'm gonna just get it fixed. I'm gonna go to Turkey or one of these like third world despot countries and have some doctor who can't leave who does it for cheap. I'm gonna have him do it.
Our neighbor's sister just went to Mexico to get like lap band
Great
surgery.
Yeah, tell her to send me their lap band person. Maybe they know a good hair guy. But I'm not like, some people are very good at like hiding their insecurities, and I love to highlight them. But also, yeah, it was like you got to give the viewers incentive. So we like shaved it live on the podcast. But it's kind of interesting because I like it. I'm also like a little self-conscious because one of my viewers like 2 weeks ago, I think I said this on stage last night, was like, you look like the cop from the George Floyd thing, like as soon as I shaved my head. And I was like, well, fuck, I got to be in Minneapolis in like 2 weeks. This is horrible. Like, I got to start investing in hats.
You did say that on stage last night?
Yeah. I was
and then this morning I saw a picture of that cop, ex-cop, and I was like, Jesus, he's not lying.
I'm just going to get my ass kicked, like going to Whole Foods. People are like, there he is. I'll be like, no, it's not me. But yeah, it's weird because I shave my head, and it's like once you see your full balding, like you can't, the jig is up as far as like your youth. You can't be like, I still got it. I'm like one of the kids. It's like, no, you're almost 40. Come on.
Oh my God. So before we started recording this, I was telling you a dumb story about watching The Love Boat.
Yeah.
On that same episode of The Love Boat, Captain Steubing, they were getting ready for a costume party later that night, and he was going to be Cary Grant, Judy, and they brought him in this wig, and then Phyllis Diller, who was one of the guest stars, she was playing his high school classmate. She walks in, it's the first time she's seen him in decades, and he's wearing the Cary Grant wig, and then she thinks like, oh, I can't. You've held up so well. And then the whole episode was him debating whether he needs to be honest with her and take off the wig and show his real bald head, or leave it on and live up with the facade. So.
It's so fun. It's like another one of those things that people are like so insecure about. And I lived in LA for 6 years where like nobody ever lets themselves like have a blemish.
Right.
Everybody's like totally fine with like injecting their face with like recycled plastic. And
you lost a hair, you should just cut your head off.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're gonna want to like fake an accident, go home to Seattle till you can get that hair back.
Tell people it was knee surgery.
Yeah, exactly. You got in a yoga accident. One of your blocks gave out and you broke your collar. But yeah, oh man, it's such a. I've thought about embracing it. Rosebud wants me to go bald, but she wants me to like bick it. Yeah. And I am not going to I'm not going to do that.
No?
I'm not. No, this is the worst year to be bald like that. And no offense to bald guys out there. I know that you have your own cross to bear, but I don't want to be like, I'm already like a goofy looking white dude. I don't want to like go out there with a bald shaved head. I might wear like the wrong thing one day and I walk into a group of Proud Boys and don't realize I have a yellow and black polo on. And all of a sudden I'm a hate speechist or whatever. No, I'm wearing a lot of hats right now. I'm still getting, and not like I have a lot of jobs. I am just I'm wearing a lot of different hats to get used to this. I've thought about bleaching it again because I bleached it like mid-pandemic. It was pretty gross. But I've thought about like doing because like all the cool young kids can like bleach their shaved head and then they can like dye it a cool color. And that's like a real like sad old guy thing to do, but I've still thought about doing it because I can just I've been auditioning for a while. Nobody needs me I don't need to lead a TV show. It's fine. I might mess up my Orkin commercial that I was about to get, but whatever. You know
what a lot of people do, I just realized, is they do the to balance. It'll be like nothing here and then full.
That's the thing.
Facial hair.
I can't grow facial hair. I think I had a dream last night that I had facial hair, I woke up with this relief of like, oh, I can finally grow facial hair. And now I'm like realizing, no, you still can't grow facial. I definitely had a dream last night where I grew a full beard, and I was like, I'm back. Bald face and bald head. It's not. That's the thing is like it's sexy if you can go bald and then have like the light beard, especially the light beard, but like the goatee, whatever. I don't grow almost any facial hair. Like I haven't shaved for like 4 days. Like this is, I must have low T. That's what somebody's gonna say is they beat me up. They'll be like, you have low T.
My grandpa used to say, he was bald. He would say that he hit an age and that I needed to be careful, where one day it all falls off your head and lands on your chest because he had a really hairy chest. For a long time, I believed that.
I'm a North American hairless. Like it is not. I keep on, and I do. It's so funny because I have this idea that I'm somehow gonna like eventually start growing facial hair. Like I'm gonna hit like a 50-year-old puberty, and it is not gonna happen. I think this is. I got what it is.
It's gonna. You know what it's gonna be? Like extra coarse ear hair.
Yeah. No. I already have my nose hair and my eyebrows are rocking and rolling. Like they're fine. I don't understand. Like I have a joke that I don't do anymore, but it's about how. Like whoever's in the Andy Haynes hair department is really fucking up because my eyebrows, like I literally have to trim my eyebrows once a month, but I'm like going bald and can't grow facial hair. Like there's got to be like genetics that like something messed up. Like I was not supposed to be conceived at that whatever arc of Virgo.
Yeah, this skin patch was supposed to be up here and vice versa, right?
It doesn't make any sense. My dad is also a hairy guy. And I'm not. It's such a shame.
How about Mom?
Mom is a hairy guy too.
Mom's a hairy guy too.
Now she's a hairy guy. I do think that's a sad one. Like I've heard of guys because there's so much cosmetic surgery now. I've heard of guys getting because hair transplants is how you fix your hair now. You take hair out of the back and you put it on the front, right? Some guys are getting hair transplants where they're taking hair and they're getting it put on their face.
No.
And that's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
No.
Like you can't grow a beard so you get your pubes moved to your cheeks. Like I'm not. You shouldn't do that, bud. That's a losing fight.
Get a pube hair transplanted above your eyes.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Well, you got some really curly eyebrows.
That's what Groucho Marx had.
Yeah, exactly.
Pube brows. Let's see. So we've covered. Let's see. We talked about your podcast. Now it's what? Once a week? Twice a week?
It's twice a week. There's a free episode on Mondays and a Friday Patreon episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
With your wife, with your newlywed wife.
With my newlywed.
You're basically getting to know each other.
My new wife.
In public.
Yes, we're learning. It's like 120-day fiance. That's what it is.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Well, how about dates for the rest of the year? Are they starting to?
They're starting to trickle
dates?
in. Yeah, I'm like, I know I'm going to be in Chicago and Tahoe, San Francisco, this summer. And then I know that I have some like Midwest stuff, like St. Louis, Indianapolis, in the fall. But it's all like, I think everybody wasn't really ready for it to open as quickly as possible. So I keep on getting like pretty quick like turnaround.
Oh, sure.
So like I have no idea what like the spring. I'm gonna be at Comics in Connecticut next week. So if you're in the I don't know what area you call that, New England. If you're gonna be in New England in next week, if you're in New England next week, not if you're gonna be, but whatever. I'll be at I think it's Mohegan Sun doing comics.
Well, that sounds like a casino.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very much a casino. I hope I don't play. I'm always bad at gambling, and I don't like lose the house, but it's just like it's sadder than losing the house. I feel like in a way because I go in with like $100 and then I win like 120, and I'm like, watch out, watch out, sharks! I'm here. I've profited $20.
I love the fact that you can go to a casino and there's all these different games just surrounding you everywhere, and then they even sell you. I don't even know if it's everywhere, but I know on the one I'm picturing right now, they'll even sell you pull tabs.
Yeah.
So like you can gamble in between gamble stations.
They want your money however possible. The thing that I don't understand about casinos is like almost nobody ever wins more than they showed up with. I feel like everybody's pretty happy to break even, and I feel like most people probably lose, and everybody keeps on going to casinos and being like, it's gonna be different for me, and even I do it knowing that. Like I'm always like, but I'm like, wait, they have a castle made of gold. Like why do I think that I'm gonna win this formula?
The problem is I've gone with other people that win big.
Yeah.
And then you see that, and you're like, well, my turn's next.
Yeah,
clearly.
I'll figure it out, and it's like, no.
But along those lines, I was looking at, those apps where you can bet on, like, daily sports?
Yes.
Fantasy daily sports stuff. If you go, I was looking into those a couple months ago, and they will, at some point, you get to the point where they show, they give you honest facts about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you how hard it is to actually win. It's so fucking low. Your odds of winning on that, on just like you're saying, like at a casino or on one of these apps.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Like they're telling you.
There's a reason why these people are rich, and we keep on being like, but I got the answer.
Yeah. You have a 10% chance of maybe getting a little bit of your money back, but you'll eventually lose it all. I'm in.
A friend was really into poker. Remember when poker was like the biggest thing in the world?
Yeah. And
he was, spending his entire savings and living on poker. And he told me, he was like, it's fine. I talked to some professional poker players, and they said you have to lose $50,000 to even learn how to play poker. And I was like, that's so much money for a card game. Like, you work at Amazon. Like, just play poker with your friends. You aren't gonna be in the World Series. Like, don't do that. It's such a risk.
Yeah. What a college costs $50,000 a year? Because that'd be like the same.
I think any private college now. I think colleges are like $60,000 a year now
for a book. I think.
Yeah, it's like you get one textbook, and that doesn't include your room and board.
No, you're still living at home.
Yeah, I think NYU is like $60,000 for tuition.
So do that, and then maybe you'll get a job, but you might keep losing money.
And that's the funny thing too, is like, I think, like a lot of times, like with comedy, there's this weird thing where like I've chosen a very unpredictable life.
Yeah.
And then I'll I'll have a great year. I'll have an amazing year. And it's like one of my friends made like their third year in a normal job. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm glad that I have this job, but it is like, especially like a tech job, like don't gamble, learn how to code, like, learn how to do production or something like that. Go to advertising school and then gamble for fun.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, so I probably shouldn't besmirch the gambling industry with how many casinos I need to work, but
they're the best. We could do 10 more hours here shitting on casinos, and they'll be fine.
I do love the buffets.
There we go.
The buffet at I think it's the Cosmopolitan, the Wicked Spoon. go to it if you're in Vegas.
I went to a casino. I spent a night a few months ago and did a little bit of gambling. Won a little bit.
Congrats.
But the one drawback was because of COVID, the buffet was not an option. Completely closed.
Yeah, it's I don't understand why people are trying to like, that's the funny thing about COVID is people are trying to force normal life back so quick, and they'll like be like, oh, I went to a resort, and then I'll be like, oh, did you do this? And they're like, that was closed. And they're like, was the hot tub open? Closed. Was the gym open? Closed. Yoga classes? Closed. Beach? You could reserve a time to go to the beach. It was like, why did you go?
Exactly.
Just buy one of those cheap VR headsets and sit in your hot tub.
Yeah, there
or
you go.
Your bathtub, not your and also make sure it's not plugged in. Do the battery powered ones.
Yeah, everyone in your scenario has a hot tub at home.
Yeah, you guys all have hot tubs, right?
Choose one of them. Whichever.
Yeah. Whichever, either, the West Wing hot tub or the East Wing or maybe the outdoor, maybe your loner hot tub, whichever, and go sit in that and put on your 75-inch TV.
Exactly.
And that's how you get your beach experience.
Exactly. Andy, this has been great.
It's been really fun, man. Thanks for having me back.
Thank
I
you.
hope we don't have another 8-year hiatus between our podcast meetings.
Let's do closer to 8 months than 8 years.
I would love that.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
That was awesome.